Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie, and fuck, you can just pick one, I don't care.
Um,
Lily, I forgot to look at the schedule.
oh my God. Are we still recording or just
Yeah, we're still recording.
okay?
You can just bring up the schedule and tell me what's on it.
Yeah, by the way, I am Lily.
Yeah, so welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Amphibia Season 1. Um, So, as usual, this episode will contain spoilers for Amphibia Season 1, and in the description, you can find a link to Just Watch, which will contain links to every place you can rent, purchase, or stream this series. Uh, our links are centered around the US. However, if you use the Just Watch app, it will automatically redirect you to your country's page. And if you use the website, you can change the country from the website page. Also, in the description is a link to our Patreon, where you can vote on future episodes of this show and get access to episodes early, as well as episodes of our sister show Off the Shelf, which is about books.
Next week we are
And
dealing with free movie of the month and Avengers: Age of Ultron.
fun. Season 2 of this show will be released in
Woo!
February?
Sorry.
February, is that right?
Um, I don't actually think our schedule goes that far. Let me check.
I don't think it does either, but I think this is on an alternating slot. Um,
Yeah, we sound like you sound right. I'll say that.
Because like our weekly slot is no, sorry, not weekly. Our monthly slot is going for the Street Marvel Heroes franchise. So like Agents of Shield, Agent Carter, and Inhumans. So I think this is our yeah, because this replaced Scooby Doo. So it is an alternating slot.
Man, I
So
love life.
yes. So season 2 will be released in February. So look forward to that. Um, But yeah, also in the description is a link to Anchor.fm, which contains links to every single platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release new episodes. Gotta be honest, Twitter's looking like it's imploding, but
I mean, I'll be
we're.
honest, I don't care. I'm still gonna release updates for Twitter unless it absolutely dies. I'm here for the end, baby. Here to the end.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into this. Get out of here, people who want to avoid spoilers. You've been informed. Next week is our free movie of the month. We don't know what it is yet because it's still November.
Are we in
All right.
spoiler territory?
Yes, we're in spoiler
I
territory.
love this show. And Avery probably has no
I
idea why, because the first season is all build up.
Yeah, see, watching this first season, I think this show is average.
And here's the thing. I think what I love about the first season so much is especially the final episode. Because I feel like all of Anne's character, every small little bit of character detail we saw of Anne in this season gets put up to the test.
I mean, yeah, in a sense, yeah, you're right. I personally have found throughout the season that Polly was my favorite character. She reminded me of Morgan from Boy Meets World.
Hmm.
Just a similar level of sass that I was not expecting.
And also, another reason why I love this series, there's actually foreshadowing from episode 1.
Interesting. You know, I want to shift gears for a minute because, like, this is going to sound completely unrelated,
Hmm.
but I have this weird thing that I don't know if I've ever told you about where I basically believe that you can tell a lot about a person by their response to the question, what does HP stand for? Some people will
The
say Harry
brand?
Potter. Some people, no, just the letters, no context given.
No, like the first thing I go to, I do not know the actual acronym, but like the PC brand.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things I see. I also see people say Harry Potter, and I see people say hit points. That's typically what I would go to. I have yet to meet the person who responds to that question with Hop Pop.
Mm, I don't know what you'd tell about that person in that situation.
Yeah, I just felt like that was worth bringing up because every time Anne called him HP, that's what I thought of. There's
Also,
also. Go
sorry.
ahead.
Well, uh, from the very first episode, you know his full name, Hoppediah
Yeah,
Planter.
Hoppediah.
So,
Yeah.
and I like how it's not even a mystery, but they barely use it as well.
Yeah. Um, another thing too, like I never really got attached to Sprigatito. Um, I just kept thinking Sprigatito because like Scarlet and Violet came out and his name is Sprig. So like at the time this episode is being recorded, Scarlet and Violet came out like literally last week.
Uh, Good times. Um, Sprig is probably one of my favorite characters, and is definitely shown in season 2. So here's how I would actually structure Amphibia. Season 1 is all build up. Season 2 is more plot, and season 3 is all payoff.
Yeah, see, I kind of hope that that's the case because this show was giving me the same vibe as Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated, where most of it just feels like episodic filler, and there is a plot that is carried along connecting some things together, but most of the time you don't get taste of that until the end of an episode. And not that this show is anywhere near like how do I put this? I don't hate this show, whereas I really disliked Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah, this show, and I didn't think this would be my new favorite show. I mean, it's very character driven, and if this, okay, what I want to say is that the other 2 seasons would just fall flat without this season because of
Well,
the situation that the characters are being put through.
the other thing too I want to bring up is this show didn't have something in its first couple episodes, or really in this entire season, that really hooked me
Hmm.
in. Like, if I were watching this on, say, Disney Channel, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to continue watching the series. If I had even finished season 1, I don't know that I would have gone back to continue season 2 if we weren't doing it for this podcast. The other 3 big Disney Channel shows that, like, from this era, Gravity Falls, Star versus the Forces of Evil, and The Owl House, all hooked me very, very early on, and this show didn't.
Also, speaking of the Owl House, because you can find a lot of contrasts and similarities with comparing this show and the Owl House.
Yeah,
It's
there are a lot of similarities, and the Owl House was pitched to Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network as
hmm,
well. But like, imagine a world where one of those networks took that show, and it would have had to compete with Amphibia.
oh god, that's an interesting
I
world.
I do think it could. Like, I genuinely do think it could. Like, Star versus the Forces of Evil was capable of competing with Steven Universe,
Well,
as
here's the
big as
thing.
that show was.
There's something that happens in season 2 that heavily reflects another thing that happens in season 2 in the Owl House. Problem being, Amphibia did it first. Because Amphibia was an entire
Yeah.
season ahead.
See, and like that's a fair thing, but at the same time, I fully expect that there are people who would get drawn into the Owl House who wouldn't necessarily get drawn into Amphibia, um, regardless of what networks either of them are on,
That's true.
because I just feel like the Owl House has a stronger opening hook. While we're on the subject of other Disney cartoons, couldn't help but think it would have been amazing and hilarious to work in a crossover with Star versus the Forces of Evil where Buff Frog shows up for no reason.
That would be interesting. Also, actually, wait, this is where Buff Frog went. It all makes sense now.
That actually would have made sense, like where he went when he leaves Muni.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
Oh god, it all comes tying together now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so details about this show, I do want to talk about some things. So there's an episode that I want to go over with you. It's
Okay.
the episode where Anne and Hop Pop basically try to play matchmaker with Sprig and Ivy.
Yeah. Obviously does
And
not go
like,
well because this is not how romance works.
yeah, like for one thing, they're not really attracted to each other yet. But like the whole fact that neither one of them want this and they just want to be friends, like at this point in time, I feel like that's an episode that like the way it's handled might be in a way that you appreciate as a demisexual person. What do you think about that?
I think because I did not notice anything my first time watching it. My second time watching it, I was like, damn, this is a demisexual vibe right here. Especially the
Yeah,
way
and
Sprig goes, like, you just now fell in love with her. Yeah, I just fell in love with her.
yeah, like I totally saw that one coming. Like it wasn't really a hard thing to predict. It was like, yeah, Sprig's gonna fall in love with her by the end of the
But
episode.
still nice. I just love that episode. Especially its ending.
I think it's now one episode I didn't particularly like. And I think it's the only episode this season that I didn't like.
I think I know what episode this is because a lot of the fandom doesn't like this episode. But continue.
It's the episode where Anne kind of accidentally convinces Hop Pop to sell a fake potion.
Oh, what most of the fandom actually really hates is the one where what was it? Sprig tries to convince Lady Croaker to be her friend.
I didn't really care about that episode. Like, I was completely indifferent. But this episode bothers me because it feels a little out of character for him to just immediately resort to this blatant scam. And it feels a little weird for Anne to have suggested a scam in the first place.
A little bit.
And
But
then
I mean, they did need the money.
And then it's also like kind of brushed off as if it never happened. Like he immediately has the town's trust back again in the next episode, and like
also scandalous.
Just a few episodes later. I want to say it was like 3 episodes between that one and when he runs for mayor.
I mean, I have also noticed that obviously these episodes aren't being taken place one after the other. Like, more significant amount of time is being taken place between them.
You have to admit it's a
It's
weird
a little bit
flip to
weird, but
go.
I have noticed bit of weird. In fact, actually, Hop Pop said something in in one of the episodes. It's almost like we have two wacky adventures every week. I think that was almost implying. Well, no, that would even make sense. Maybe 2 episodes a week? No, that does.
I don't know.
Hmm.
But like the other thing too, when I watched a particular, I don't remember what episode 10 was, but I remember loving the B portion of episode 10. Um,
This is why I should have gone the episode list.
it also might not have been episode 10, for all I know.
1 second, I had the episode list picked out for it. I just forgot to pull it up.
But yeah,
Toe
something
taps and
that,
prison. Oh, that's the Sasha episode.
yeah, Prison Break. Okay. So yeah, I really, really loved Prison Break. I thought it was a really cool episode. It's probably my favorite this
Our
season.
manual. We just have to go back to Sasha every season for at least one episode.
Yeah, and like at the end when Sasha kind of um just basically tries to sacrifice herself so that Anne and Sprig and Polly and Hopadaya can get away. Um like that scene didn't really, trigger any emotions for me, but it was just like, yeah, you guys are going to go save her later, right?
Yeah. So Sasha becomes a whole thing in the second season, and honestly, I love how they do her redemption because, well, I mean, it's a Disney show. Obviously, when this main character is going to get a redemption, but it's very slow, and it's
Yeah,
not
and
like redemptions don't just go like, "Oh, I'm good now," and this show understands that, and that's as much as I'll say.
yeah, I think Gravity Falls understood it pretty well too with Pacifica, because like she wasn't really that evil to start with, but um, she was also kind of a jerk, and she ends the series as kind of a jerk, but lightened up a bit.
Hmm. This. Oh God, and what I love about because one of my favorite episodes going back to um episode 1B, because it just shows how messed up and twisted Anne's beliefs on friends are, and it all
Yeah,
comes
I noticed.
culminating to the final episode.
Yeah, I noticed that at the beginning. I was like, yeah, that's not how friendship works. uh, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if that'll come back later. And yeah, it kind of does. In it's it's certainly a telling of like friendship and like learning how friendship works that's been done before.
Uh,
But like this show doesn't handle it badly. I'd say it handles it fine.
There's also something else about this show. God, I can't if I can remember. Um, oh right. So another contrast between this show and the Owl House, I think something that you can pick up on right away is how it began. Owl House began on Loose, going to that world. Amphibia does the opposite. It begins on the frog world.
Yeah, and I don't know, that's part of to me, I think the whole thing of like Loose going to the Boiling Isles was part of the hook that made it stronger. Starting in the frog world just kind of made me feel more detached from everything.
I feel this is supposed to make you more attached to like the Froglands, but there's also another reason. You still do not know what fully happened that day.
I mean, they kind of reveal most of it in the finale, I feel. But also the other thing too with this season that I don't particularly like is they don't really show the other girl. That
Oh, Marcy.
like, yeah, they never show her.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. And the reason that, yeah, I'm just gonna say, because there is some symbolism behind this, because you see how Anne was stuck with the frogs, Sasha stuck with the toads, and the only other sentient amphibian in this are the newts, which is beyond the border.
Hmm. So another thing too is like there are a lot of references in this show. Um, I want to say there was a Gravity Falls reference in here at some point, and I can't remember what it
If there
was,
was a
but
Gravity
I think
Falls
the
reference
most
in this season, there's going to be a way stronger one the next one.
yeah. Now, I think probably the strongest, most obvious reference was to Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, like fucking the what did he call himself? The
The
Crusher,
Wrecker, I think it
Punisher,
was.
the Wrecker. I
Have
don't
you
know.
killed a
Maybe that
man,
was
Hot
it.
Pop?
Yeah, dude, I can't believe I actually got that prediction right. I predicted it was Hopadaya.
I don't know if I predicted that the first time I watched the show.
Yeah, like I was like, I threw it. It was like me throwing a dart at a wall and seeing what would stick. But I couldn't believe that one. I got that one right.
It's like,
I was like, that's totally Hopadaya. There was also that one episode. There was another episode where Sprigatito found this like pearl moon thing or something,
oh,
um,
Shell.
and he just
Blue
kind of
Shell?
yeah, he just kind of leaves it out, and Anne's like, someone's gonna steal that, and blah 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 blah. I was thinking it was gonna be Hopadaya who had it, um, but it turned out to be the very person he was going to give it to in the first place.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming fully. Also, near the end of this season, there's the scene where Ivy asks out um, Sprigatito,
You're gonna
and
keep doing this, are you?
yes, I
Okay,
am.
just making sure.
There's that scene, and it very much reminded me in the scene of like spoilers for the Owl House season 2, but it very much reminded me of the scene in the Owl House when Amity and Luz first get together, because like uh, Luz is literally getting ready to ask Amity, and then Amity just blurts it out.
Yeah, this
It was
season is uh I
yeah, it's
it
something.
maybe it's because of I know what's gonna happen after, and I know everything for the rest of the season. I love these characters so much.
Yeah, I've just had no attachment. I do find Sasha hilarious. Anne is an okay protagonist, and I don't really care much about Sprigatito, but Polly is funny as hell.
Spring
I also
it
do
does
love
get a lot of nice character moments.
just another reference that I remember. There's like this one episode where there's like this talent show going on, And uh, for starters, I do want to say it was kind of funny seeing Hopadiah envision the future. And then Polly was like, wait, if this is the future, why do I have legs? And Anne is like, why am I still here?
Shut up, I'm trying to pass on.
Yeah, but there is a reference to a classical music piece in this episode. Um, Sprigatito is performing Flight of the Moth, which is a very, very obvious reference to a classical music piece called Flight of the Bumblebee,
I
which
think
you've
I heard that
probably
one.
heard before. You've definitely heard it before if you've played Tetris 99, because the 10 players remaining music is a remix of Flight of the Bumblebee.
I think you made me listen to that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like I caught that one. There were a couple of other references, but yeah, like, on the Mario Kart one earlier, after I finished that episode, I literally went onto Discord and messaged Lily just the words Mario
Oh,
Kart, and then
that's
I left.
why you messaged me Mario Kart and left. I was so
That should
confused.
have been obvious. You knew I was watching the show at the time.
Actually, was I? There was a part where I thought, like, did you finish yet?
I mean, it was literally just like, I don't know, a half hour or maybe an hour before where I told you I was on episode 15.
Yeah.
And that reference was in like 16 or 17, something like that.
I also had no idea. I mean, you could have been at the end of episode 16 for all I knew.
Yeah, but there was another episode too. There's this episode where Hopadiah and Polly and Sprigatito and Anne and some other character whose name I can't remember go on a fishing trip. And the way Sprigatito acts in this episode very much reminded me of the camping trip in The Parent Trap.
Oh yeah, that
But
episode.
yeah, but it more so reminds me of the remake, because the 60s Parent Trap is not good.
Ooh, there's.
It,
Yeah, I don't know much about the remake, other than allegedly it is much better than the original.
yeah, the original just has so many problems. It is, but like, you can check out our episode on that if you want to. I just don't recommend watching the movie.
Oh, why would you watch the movie?
Apparently for a podcast,
Heh.
and like I had said too, I don't know if I'd have ever finished this show if it wasn't for this
Yeah,
podcast.
you have.
Just being honest, I don't think I would.
I remember
Like,
my friend Ted Norman actually had the same feeling until the last episode, where it's like, okay, let's continue this.
well, see, the other thing too is, like, I have other friends who said that they started watching this show and stopped a few episodes in because it just didn't hook them.
I don't know. For me, love this show. And I don't know if it's because of what I know in the later half, or, I mean, something got me to watch the entire season, so. And I can't even remember the
So,
reason why I started watching it.
yeah. So, do you have any particular episodes that you would like to talk about?
God, if you won't mind, I do just want to browse the the domino effect that will actually be coming back, and
Yeah, you're gonna have to remind me of
that's where
that.
Anne picks up a stray caterpillar and calls it, and reminds her of her cat.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have expected that to come back.
Well, I mean, it almost makes sense because it's part of Anne's past, And I don't even think it's much of a spoiler where you will see Domino, like the actual cat.
All right.
Um,
Oh, another thing too is the box thing that Anne carries around. I had completely forgotten that Hoppediah knew what it was when he goes to bury it after the episode in the Bazaar.
yeah, that will not take effect for a while, but when it does, oh man.
Yeah, and you know, another thing too about that episode, I can't help but think, oh yeah, this episode is referencing Mario Kart, and it takes place in a bazaar. I seem to remember a certain Mario Kart 7 track that took place in a bazaar.
Oh shit, you're right. In fact, right when you said bizarre, as that the Mario Kart 7 track immediately imprinted into my brain.
Yeah, Shy Guy Bazaar. Um, I can't remember what it's called in Mario Kart Wii, because there's a remake of it in Mario Kart Wii, but they always change the names of tracks that came out after it.
I think my favorite episode in this season was Reunion because of the payoffs. They will do more payoffs like this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Prison Break was my favorite episode. It was cool. It was actually just kind of fun.
Hmm.
Uh,
I bet you also got to see Sasha's character a lot more, which is okay. It's now that I think about it, it's kind of weird. You see more of Marcy in the second season than you ever see of Sasha in the first or second.
See, the weird thing to me is that I like Sasha as a character more than I like Anne.
Yeah, obviously Sasha is not to be liked as a person.
Yeah, no. Um, I, I guess the way I would put it is I typically find a greater attachment to characters that I wouldn't necessarily like as people.
Hmm.
It was the same with Amity and the Owl House in like season one. Uh, and like seeing her growth was, I think Amity's one of Disney's most well developed characters.
Uh, there's also another
In
part of Amity where I feel like her growth was maybe just a little bit too fast. I don't know,
I don't feel like it was fast at
I'll
all.
come back to that when we cover the Owl House, but
I felt that it was rather slow, in fact.
yeah, you're gonna find the growth in this series painfully slow. Because okay, there's also another thing. Because I think I mentioned it to you before. How Sasha was actually mentioned to be like, rich girl being redeemed. And I don't see that for one huge reason. She may be rich on the outside world, but in this, she's not rich. She's
I never even got the I never even saw any implication that she was rich in the first place in the outside world.
yeah.
Like, does the show ever say that?
I think maybe the flashback in the final episode where she has a pool or something.
Yeah, I do not remember it saying she was rich.
The
And
show
like,
never
there are even
especially says. The most you'll actually find, I'm pretty sure, is in this season.
yeah, I feel like it's a stretch.
Very much a stretch.
Like I said quite a while back, it's a stretch to say that Disney really even has a trend of redeeming rich girls because like you can only really point to two, and the two that you can point to are Pacifica Northwest and uh, Amity.
There's probably some other shows that we
And
haven't watched, but I can't think of anything.
and Well, see, the thing about those two shows, the people that made them are romantic partners. So this isn't some greater thing to do with Disney. It's something with these two people that it's the way they like to tell stories. And obviously they have stuff in common because they're in a romantic relationship.
Oh yeah, sometimes I forget about that.
Oh, also something I don't know why I just thought of
Hmm.
this. I just saw something flashing and I don't know what it was. I hope it's nothing.
Hopefully it's nothing.
Um yeah, but so thinking of Alex Hirsch made me think of this. There are some voices in this season that I recognize, and I never went and confirmed
Hmm.
it, but I swear to God, the voice of Pleakley from Lilo and Stitch was the guy who was the food critic. Swear to God. And then, like, the mayor's assistant, I think, is the voice of Carl from Phineas and Ferb.
I never looked up any voices, so you could be right for all I know.
Yeah, they just sound so similar.
I never thought to even do
That like
that.
I couldn't help but think they were the same. I also feel that like I've probably heard Sasha's voice somewhere before, but I couldn't place
Hmm.
it. So it's definitely something I will probably look up later.
Oh god, all I
I
can
love
think
how I
about is
used
Sasha's just the hey girlfriend.
you know in some ways Sasha reminds me of the Flower Scouts from Camp Camp. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
one of them was named
yeah.
Sasha.
Honestly, that tracks.
But yeah, I think I've covered everything I want to
There was
say.
one last thing I wanted to say. Was it about Sasha? Oh, right. It was about Gravity Falls because there is one thing that you can get with this first season that you cannot get with Gravity Falls: character growth.
Yeah, I recently had a conversation on Discord about character growth in Gravity Falls, and like I do think maybe we were a little bit too harsh. Some characters actually do grow. Stan, for example, he grows quite a lot
Yeah,
throughout the
Stan is like
show.
the only one I can actually remember.
Gideon grows a little bit. Like he's still acting selfishly in the finale, but I mean, he does the right thing.
I mean, you mean like our
Which
protagonists, our main characters that we are supposed to look up to.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think they grow enough. Dipper grows a little bit. He's like, well, how do I put it? It's not that he grows, it's that he learns to accept the fact that he's a kid and enjoy being a kid for a little while longer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
Um
that's growing per se, you know.
yeah. I definitely still stand by my stance that there are a lot of moments of character development in that show that just get reverted in the very next episode, and we pretend like it never happened.
This is also why I love Amphibia more than Gravity Falls, and obviously the other reasons that are yet to come.
Yeah, but I think I've covered everything. And have you
Um,
said everything you
one
want to
more
say?
joke that only Amphibia fans will know. So, did you actually catch that animation glitch that was in season one? Yeah, they really need to animate the eyes better. Anyway, let's get to the ratings.
Yeah. So I I think I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
So I do think this show is average. Like in terms of just season one so
Mhm.
far. Um, so I would give it a 7.0 rating, except I have to take a point off because there is a Wilhelm scream in episode 10.
Huh.
So it gets a 6.9.
Nice. This show, and knowing where this takes it, I have no choice but to give it a significantly higher rating. Not that much, just like an 8.0.
Yeah, that's fair. I still feel like we've never really had a show. I think I still feel like we've never really had anything where we just completely disagreed and had completely polar opposite
The
ratings.
closest
I think the
we
closest
had
thing
was Infinity Train Season 3.
that's literally what I was going to say. That's the closest we had. And like I think you rated that somewhere in the 8s and I gave it a 5.5.
Yeah. Maybe in the 90s. I can't remember. Because I did really like that season.
But yeah, I think with all that being said, you can join us next week for our free movie of the month for December and Avengers Age of Ultron. You can join us in February for season 2. And yeah, with all that being said, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and I'm a frog DJ.